Hey, I'm Joe DiGiulio. I'm back here again with another free art lesson. And today what we're going to be working on is stretching canvas. Now, canvas will come in two forms. Either it'll come in a primed roll, or you can get it unprimed in a blanket. They sell it in rolls also, but you can also get in a blanket, which is really easy for you to transport. Sometimes the rolls are a little bit difficult, can't get them in the back seat of a little car. But the blanket allows you to take a large piece of canvas with you just about anywhere you want to go. To get started with, let's get familiar with the things we're going to be using today. Of course, we got the canvas. Today, what I'm going to be stretching is an already primed, this is a double primed Centurion linen canvas I'll be using. And some of the items we're going to need is we're going to have some heavy duty stretcher bars. I'm stretching a 42 by 34 today. That's our two dimensions. Very important is a canvas plier for making the canvas taut so we don't have any wrinkles in it. And you can buy a regular heavy-duty staple gun, but I prefer an electric staple gun. It just makes it forcing it into the wood stretcher strips much easier. And of course, we need scissors to go ahead and get started with it. But that's really all that we need. Let me put this right to a side, and then we'll go ahead and get started with putting together our canvas. Okay, what we're going to do now is let's piece together the heavy-duty stretcher bars. They're cut in a groove so they should fit together properly and have that perfect 90-degree angle. You've got it cut on a 45 miter here. And I'm just going to wiggle it together until the edges meet up against one another. Now, the important thing for you to see is that there is a flat, smooth edge, and then there's a beveled edge. Now, the beveled edge is where the canvas is always going to be on. So as I'm painting, the canvas does not bump up against the stretcher bar, and the paintbrush record that edge of the stretcher bar on your canvas. So it's very critical that when you are putting them together that you do put the right like sides together. But it's locked in on a 90, and if you have a 30-60 triangle, it's great to sit it in there to make sure you have that accurate 90 degrees. So let me get the rest of this all put together, and then we'll stretch out a piece of canvas, and I'll show you how to begin on getting this stretcher ready to go. Okay, now that I have the frame all assembled, I've got it laid out for the canvas. But after looking over the canvas, I see that I'm probably going to be a little bit more economical. Instead of wasting this large area right here, I'm going to turn this canvas this way because the length of the width of the canvas will be enough for me to allow, and I can save a good foot here. I want to make sure that I have a good inch of overhang to 2 inches. So generally, I have a 42 by 34 dimension here. What I mean is that I'm going to add 6 inches in each dimension so that I can allow for the edge and the overlapping when I go to staple on the back. If you get a little bit shorter than 5 or 6 inches, 3 on each side, you're going to have a difficult time getting that canvas with the pliers gripped and be able to stretch it all. So I'm going to turn it this way. I give it about 3 inches, and I'm just going to run the scissors right along. I want to make sure I've got that lined up. That's pretty close. Give myself about 3 or 4 inches, and I'm just going to take the scissors and pull it right along here. Now, I'm not even cutting because this will really just pull right along by itself. And there we go. Off to the side with that. Now, again, this is the top surface here. So what we're going to do is flip this all over and get ready to center up to staple this down. All right, there we go. Now, working with it like that, you see it's covered, it's all squared up. But what I want to do is flip it over where everyone can see. All right. First thing I'm going to do is I want to get the center started on one side. And the weave is running in the grain like this. I want to make sure that grain is on a 90 degree with the stretcher bars here, that it's not running crooked like that. All right, so we're going to have that all squared up. I've got my overlap squared up. Should be good to go. I've actually allowed myself a little more than the 3 inches on the side, but I can cut back the extra overhang when I'm finished. This, the electric stapler, is critically important for this part of it. And what I usually do is just start with a few right here in the middle. Do that first side there. Then I want to come around and I want to get it very taut on the second side. Now, these canvas pliers will really be great for that. You take them, you get it on that edge, and you can just pull. Now, I don't want to pull it so tight that I rip this out. But I want to get this in a place where you can actually see it too. Now this is just a starter, so I'm not worried about it being perfection at all. But I wanted you to see I've got it taut on either side. Now what I want to do is I want to work from the center to the corner, pulling this side. Now once this side is done, I'll come over here and work on that side. So this is the first part that I usually do. I'm not going to worry about the pliers right now because we're going to use the pliers to tighten up on the other side. But what I am is pulling it outward. I'm going to pull it tight, but I'm going to also pull it this way too. And I'm just working my way out to the corners. Now once that side's done, I'll turn it around and I'm going to repeat this on every one of the corners. This side, then that side. This side, then this side. Staple in the center, staple in the center, and work to the outsides. So let me get this spin around and we'll come back and do the other side. Hey, now that we're back, what I've done, I've had originally that first side stapled. I came across here and I stapled the other side just to get it taut across. I've done the same thing over in this corner, but I have this side to go ahead and pull up. Now what I did, I wanted to give you an example of what will happen if you cut incorrectly. I say about 3 to 4 inches on either side, 6 inches, 3 inches for rollover. My point is that I've purposely cut this edge here a little bit too short because I wanted to be able to illustrate what happens when you do not cut the canvas long enough. Your pliers are to grab the canvas and they're meant to pull over. There's a little lever right here that is meant to actually lock into the corner of the stretcher bar. And that sort of works as a fulcrum that I can really pull it taut and get the canvas tight. If I cut it too short, which I've done in this manner, you see I don't have the ability to catch that lip onto this edge here. Okay? I'm going to do the best I can with just hand pulling it. It's not going to be a big issue, but I want to illustrate that it's so much more effective and it's a little bit easier on your arm strength and everything to have that edge to pull over on. Again, the electric stapler, right on down the line. I've got all 4 corners done. Let me pull the stapler out of the way. I've done this edge, so what I want to do now is this edge. Then we'll go back and forth doing each corner as I go along. Catching the lip. There we go. Now I got one hand that could be locking that down, and it allows me to free up the other hand now for doing the stretcher strip. And mind you, as I work towards the corner, I'm not only pulling this way to make it taut this way, but I'm trying to pull it out this way too. When I was in France last year, I was lucky enough to go to a little shop in Marseille where Bruno Charvin was stretching his canvas, and he had two of these, one for pulling this way and one for pulling that way. And then he had his nails right in his mouth. He could just pull it, take the nail with a hammer, and one whack, and it was locked in place. I don't really have his ability to do that, so I had to kind of one-handed it. But I have this side, that side. Now I'm going to come over here, and I have this side and this side, so my weakest areas are this way. So I'm going to take from here, work from the center again, outward. Pulling that canvas taut. Get this up here and tight. So this edge is done. That one, this one, the next one is that. And we're just kind of working around the clock from the center going outward. If you have some excess in the way, just fold it right on over. But you want to get it just right so you can catch that lip here. So just keep folding it over, or you can cut the excess out, either one that you like. But then again, when you cut the excess out, don't cut it too short that you get in that situation where you don't have enough to grab. Keep it to at least 3 inches, minimum. All right, that one's down. Done that. Let's rotate around and get these last 2 corners. Again, working from here to the out. I can already tell this is going to be an extraordinarily tight canvas. Especially when you're working with linen, it can get really tight. Again, if you do one side, you have to do the opposite side to it and work from the center out. That's the main rule. Work from the center out. At least that's the way I've always been taught. There we go. Just a little bit more. And you see you get yourself really into a situation when you've cut it way too short here. We'll work it out, but it's going to be tight. See, if I had another inch or two, I could really get it stretched well. But, you know, nowadays when you're trying to save money, you want to cut it back as much as you can and not waste any. I just kind of pull and slide my thumb to hold it in place. All right. Now that I have all that, it's time to, oh, I've got one more, don't I? Last corner. You'll see right here I don't have any kind of wrinkling going on, so I'm feeling really good about that. We'll get this tightened up here. Once it's tightened up, we're going to come back and just show you how to do the corners, and we'll be finished. We'll be ready to go ahead and paint on the surface. Okay? Okay, that's the last of the staples I needed to put in. I wanted to put some additional ones around every edge to give it a little bit more strength, but now let's cut out and get ready to do the corners. Each of the corners I want to be uniform. That way, when I do cut this corner, I have all this overlapping material and I want to get rid of it. So what I do is I actually get one side that I want down first. Whatever side I have down, the other side is going to overlap. But we want to get rid of this and make it look professional, this corner here. The reason why I'm picking this is because I know I'm short on this side of the canvas here. So I would rather it fold over this way than to fold over this way, showing it short. So this gives me a little bit more material based on the way I've cut this. So with that in mind, I'm going to get this corner tight and then just take the scissors and cut this excess away. I just cut this little wedge out. Again, this is sort of like doing Christmas wrappings, okay? I've got that tucked in. I'm going to come underneath that, bring this corner over. You see where I've got that corner nice and tight, and I just want to pull it right over, but I want that excess material out of the way. I want to pull it right over and get it right squared perfectly up there. I want a nice, perfect squared up corner. Take a hammer, get that all settled down. Okay, that one's done. I can come over here and do this to this one here. Again, I'm overlapping this way, so I'm cutting my excess out on this side. And it's just like cutting a little Christmas wrapping out. I don't want a big excess bulky area, so that corner gets cut right on out. Pull that over. I want to hit that with a staple. Now I can tuck this in, this overlap, and come right over here. But I want it to get squared up perfectly here. So I'm going to tighten that in there, get it right down to the edge, and then fold it over. Get that last little bit there. A nice tight corner. You're always going to have a little triangular groove there. That's fine. That's typical. But your gallery is going to be able to say that it's not perfectly all uniform, and that's actually kind of a plus because they say, oh, this is a hand stretch. It's not a machine manufactured canvas. So two more, the same thing. I folded over this way, so I'm going to fold these over this way to be uniform with the folding going on here. So again, just a quick little cut out right to the corner and cut that extra strip out. Now I could come here, I just want to come to that point. I can cut a wider angle out, and that actually causes it to have less material in the corner, which makes it even better. Just get some staples, go around and finish the rest of the strips, and then have all the corners done. And then we'll come back and I'll show you how to trim it away so it'll be a nice finished look. Okay, now that we have all the corners addressed, I want to cut this excess trim off, and we'll be just finishing up. So I'm just going to take it and I'm running right along the board here. It just gives a little bit more of a cleaner, professional look to it. Any excess you have, if you want to cut it out. And really good canvas is going to actually cut right on the line fairly easy for you. So I just want to get that excess off. Now lastly, our keys. You see these in the store all the time. People are like, what are keys for? What the keys do is they allow the canvas to, if it ever gets loose or sag in the corner, it's going to be able to tighten it back up. You'll notice that there's little slots here that they go in. And the key is cut on a triangular angle. The point being that if I want to tighten that corner out, I can wedge it out by hammering it. And as farther I hammer, the more that it spreads these two stretcher bars apart, keeping it very tight in the corner there. You'll see one goes there, one goes there. I just put them in by hand, all the way around. They come free at your art supply store. So pick some up when you're stretching canvas. Plus they give a really classy look to the back, I think. Now I just want to tighten it up. Tapping in each direction, that just tightens that corner by pushing out the two stretcher bars. And that last key in. When they're all in, they're all taut. You're going to have a nice squared up canvas, no sags, no ripples, ready to go. You can create it in any dimension you want. Usually it goes on odd numbers. It's done in inches. Once we get over 30 inches, then it goes every 2 inches. So you can have a 29 by 33. You can have a 74 by 96. You can have whatever you want. You can have it drum tight too. Use the keys. Use that method of working from the center to the outside. Get you a nice, clean, crisp, custom framed canvas that you're going to be ready to paint, and it's going to excite your clients. So thanks very much. I'm Joe DiGiulio. I hope you enjoyed this free art lesson. I hope to see you again here next time.